everybody. Welcome to the Michigan Golf Review. That's just us laughing, coming off of listening to the amazing Round Hole Rock, which I'm just going to hammer home every time. And I think we should release it as a single, maybe. You know, I guess that's up to Jordan.
We should make a music video of us on the course.
Don't tell him, and then
take the royalties.
Profits, we can give him a little bit of royalties. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Fair.
Yeah. Hopefully he doesn't listen to this.
He doesn't watch this.
I would be shocked.
I'm Pat Evans. Joining me, as always, is Zach Guy and Andrew Rademacher, the Michigan Golf Reviews. And we are going to review the commonly referred to planes, trains, and automobile course, Thornapple Pointe Golf Club, which is part of the Redwater collection. It's one of two public courses that they have in their collection of many West Michigan golf courses that I'm sure we'll get to in the future. But it's an exciting one because I tell you what, I love trains. I love planes. I like water and animals, and seeing cars can be cool too, I suppose. Anyway, let's get started. This one's really easy. I won't even throw it to either of you, but the history started in 1997. So we are approaching 30 years, but I don't think we're going to rate it very high. We all gave it ones because 30 years of golf is not a ton in the long history of the game, but a cool course as we'll get into. So we'll just start that off. 97, fairly young, which I just noticed that 97 to 27, that's 30 years. I'm old is what I'm learning. That 97 is almost 30 years ago. Anyway, accessibility and proximity. It is right near the Gerald R. Ford Airport, right off the highway. Very easy to get to in my point of view. So I gave it a 7. That strayed a little bit from you guys. So I'm curious to learn why. Zach, let's go with it.
Yeah, I give him a 5. I'm on the west side of town, so it's a long drive for me to get out there. I know that's kind of like personal to me, but that's my rating. I also marked him down a little bit just because in the summertime at peak times, the prices get really high, and it's a great course, but there's better options in terms of value.
I guess I didn't really think about the price input here, so that maybe will bring me down in a minute.
They have good twilight rates. I'll put that out there too. Great twilight rates, but peak times in the summer, you're going to pay.
All right, I'll drop my 7 to a 6. Again, peer pressure. I give in to peer pressure. Andrew.
With the 6, it's pretty easy to get to, Pat, like you said, although there's just not a whole lot around it. So from just a convenience standpoint of, where you could be coming from or need to go afterwards, it's pretty much you're going out that way to golf and that's it. Unless you're hopping off a flight and then you're like, oh, I've got my clubs with me because I just came from a golf trip and why not play some more before I go home? So you are close to the airport for a round before or after a flight.
That is true. And I guess when you get right into it right here, first impressions, you're driving by the airport, which isn't necessarily the coolest entry into a golf club. It's a pretty standard looking clubhouse, pretty typical of what you would see at a golf club, I guess, which is pretty average. So I went ahead and gave it a 6. Andrew.
Yeah, I gave it a 5. Just pretty much what you see is what you get. Kind of on a busy 2-lane road, so be careful pulling in and out of there. Sunlight can if you're going west at the end of the night, that sun's going to be right in your eyes.
Yeah, I like the traffic advice too there. That's nice. It's great for our listeners.
Safety.
Work both ways. I also gave him a 6. It's nicer. It's newer. It all looks nice. They have a nice sign out front, so it's easy to locate when you're driving 60 or.
Yeah. Pro Shop. Again, as I mentioned in the last episode, if you remember listening last week or whenever you listen to this, or maybe you're binging us. I don't know. That'd be cool. If you are and you like us, like and subscribe and give us good ratings. That's great. But Pro Shop, too new of a golfer to really be able to rate Pro Shops accurately, but I still gave it a 7 because it seemed like it had a nice selection of things, and that's what I liked. But yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I gave them a 6. They have well-stocked Pro Shop. They have really good quality brands, all the balls you could imagine that you'd want to purchase before a round, which happens to me all too often. I gave them a 6.
Awesome. Andrew.
6 for me as well. Great Pro Shop, very well maintained, clean. It is a little small if I had to ding it for anything, but it's got everything in there that you need. I feel like every time I go in there too, I'm like, they have a lot of really cool merch and I'm going to buy something
They do.
eventually. I
Yeah.
still have yet to do that. The last thing I need is a hat, that's for sure. But yeah, it's a solid pro shop.
I love it. Locker room, I don't think they have one, do they? The bathroom was beautiful from what I've used it. I've used
Yep.
it a couple times in my years. But I just gave it a 3. I don't think we have to really rate a locker room if there isn't one. So we just gave it 3 across the board just because it is a nice
The nice
locker
locker
room.
or bathroom.
A bathroom with ample space. But
Yes, you could change in there if you needed to.
concessions, I was golfing there the last time I went pretty early. I've also golfed this course probably several times over the years before I was a golfer, for like work golf outings and stuff. So, I like this concession stand. It's a nice, easy bar, quite a few options. I remember after we golfed there in the fall, Andrew, you, Ed, and I stuck around and had some sausages, which were delightful. So I gave it an 8, and I don't know if that's too high because it's not the coolest, grandest menu. But I still gave it an 8 because I don't know. I've just had good experiences there. Andrew.
8 as well for me. All one building pro shop funnels right into large dining area. We talked about the bathrooms being nice, great bar. I do like too how the entire building itself sits up a little bit, kind of perched on the hill.
Yeah.
So I think they've got some outdoor seating a little bit. I've never sat out there, but you can, see from kind of afar some folks teeing off 1 and 10 in the distance, and then certainly people coming in on number 9. So I always like for an after round beverage or snack being able to watch some golfers.
Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I gave him an 8 as well. Above average options for hot food. You can get a good meal there and it's solid. And one time I did sit in an Adirondack chair on that porch and watch people come in on 9 as the sun was setting on like a nice summer evening. It was like in the high 60s. It was just awesome. Awesome way to end around.
That sounds beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Other amenities, I don't recall anything crazy. It is, again, a reference, it is a Redwater public course, and I think public courses just generally are going to get dinged on these often because we're talking, cool little knickknacks you can pick up or cool things on the course that you wouldn't think about or things like that. But just because it is fairly basic, I went with a 3. Andrew's is blank. Mine was blank until I just gave it a 3. Zach gave it a 3. Andrew,
I gave it a 3.
And Andrew's giving it a 3. So we won't go any further than that. But unless Zach has something to say,
I just want to shout out the cart staff there. I think the cart staff is always really good. And at the end of the day, when there's like 30 carts lined up and it's 9:30 at night, they do a fantastic job. So I give a little higher score for that.
I will say the starter that we had, Andrew, in the fall, he was hilarious. He said something very inappropriate. And I don't remember what it was, but I laughed. So we'll go from there. Range practice area, it's good. I will say that it's a big range, but you do have to take a weird cart path around some weird things to get there. But I still gave it 6. It's nice. Again, plenty of space and offering, but weird to get there before a round when you are trying to time things out. Andrew.
Yeah, I actually went with a 7. Mainly for the reason that they've got some simulators, some indoor stuff there, of which I have not used. However, those types of extra amenities I think are becoming more commonplace, but they're definitely not the norm yet. So I got to give them some props for that. I've actually never been on the range there, but the practice green is nice for putting before the round. It's right there next to the first hole. So yeah, I went a little higher.
I love that you went higher despite not using any of it. That's cool. That's great.
It's a little bit of a blind rating, but I got it.
Hey, that's all right. Zach.
I dinged him down pretty low on this because I'm very much a rhythm kind of guy and a chipping. We've covered this before, chipping pitching. I like to do that. And you can't really pitch on the practice green. There's not a lot of room for that. And the range is just so far broken off from the main course. You got to go way out of your way to get there and then drive back. Although now that we're talking about it, like the indoor sim facility is really great. It's nice and big. I think they have like 8 sim bays there. It's got a bar in that. So that facility is really great. Does that factor in other amenities, or like they have a lot of wedding spaces there and banquet facilities?
Actually, it maybe should.
Should we
Yeah.
put that in other amenities? Because I'll raise them up.
Should we go amenities to 5 across the board?
I think we go amenities
I think we
across the board,
should, yeah.
because I think you're right. I think we should take in banquet
Yeah.
ideas, because, you know, and this is something Redwater does a lot of, even at their private courses, is banquets, and they've got all their restaurants that are pretty decent. And yeah, they are really doubling down on kind of the winter offering of the simulators that are open to the public, even on the private courses. So I think that's a good idea, Zach.
Yeah, I think we were mostly originally thinking about on-course amenities, but to me, it all fits. Like it's part of the course experience.
Look, listeners get to see us evolving a podcast
in real time.
This is great. This is great.
Groundbreaking stuff.
We're making great pace on it as well, which we're going into pace of play.
All right, I'm leaving.
It's good. Yep. Going on mute.
You know what? This is something I gave it a 7 because I do always feel like it moves pretty nicely. However, now that I'm thinking about it, I do remember last time I played it, we were slowing it up, I guess. I don't know, but some people behind us were cranking. But I still gave it a 7, and that's higher than both of you, so that's interesting. Andrew,
I went 5. I can't think of a time that I've played this course at a super efficient rate, but also never incredibly slow. But I feel like it's always a little bit on the slower side for my preference. However, I might be a little bit more of an impatient golfer compared to most. I'm all about just let's get up to your ball, hit it. But it's it's never been the best for me. Nothing where I'm like calling the clubhouse complaining, because that's happened before. I've never called, but somebody in my group has, because I'm too afraid to complain about that because I'm still golfing. So I'm going down a rabbit hole here, but yeah, pace of play, I'm going to give it a 5.
Yeah, and it is interesting, Andrew, that we had people coming up behind us on this, because you and I
if there's one thing if there's one thing I'm hyper aware of, it's that I'm not holding people up on the course. Yes. So if we've got people hitting into us, it's a problem further up ahead.
I'm going to go ahead and blame my dad and Ed, who were with us that round.
I'll reserve my
right under the bus, man. You just threw them right under the bus. Yeah, I gave them a 6. I would rate them lower like Andrew, but I gave them a little boost because of the twilight times. Every time I've played there, it's always been really quick, but yeah, you just never know what you're going to get there. Plan on a 5-hour round, I would say, during peak times.
Yeah, maybe I should ding mine 6. I'm going to go down to 6.
You're good. You're rating it high because you're the one that's holding everybody up.
That's true. And that's, again, not usual because I'm so cognizant of my inability to play golf that I just go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Weird that the 33 handicap's like, I don't know. It doesn't seem that slow out there. Just kidding, Pat.
Anyway, on to greens. Again, I don't know how to really judge greens yet. Hopefully sometime this year I will figure it out. That would be good for my handicap that Andrew just referenced, I think. So I'm just going to go ahead and rate it 7 because you both ranked it 7. Why is it a 7, Zach?
Yeah, I think overall the greens are fun. They're interesting. You have a lot of challenging putts. In the summertime, they roll pretty quickly. And I'm holding the courses accountable for this because if I'm paying a lot of money, I would expect the greens to be better maintained. But that course has a lot of ball marks on their greens, and they turn into nasty patches in the summer. And yeah, if the prices were lower, I'd probably rank that a little bit lower. But since I'm paying so much to golf there, I would hope someone goes around and does the plug thingy on the greens. But I don't see that. So
plug thingy.
I ranked them a 7. Could be higher.
That's an aeration.
Thank you. Yes.
Plug thingy.
I like plug thingy. I give it a 7 as well. I think there are some really fun shaped greens here. They're all pretty decent in size. Some have multiple tiers. Definitely going to have some fun putts. So yeah, a 7, above average. I think Zach made some good points. I will say there is always on hole 16, par 5, that something about that green is just, it's so fast and it goes from left to right if you're coming at it. And it's just, no matter how far I take that slope into consideration, I always blow my putt pass. So maybe I just need it up on the right side and putt uphill, but that's one of the greens that haunts me across all golf courses.
Is that the one where you have to go over that giant sand complex to get on the green?
No, that's I think that's a par 5, number 8. No, number 7. That's on the front.
Okay. Yeah, yeah.
All the greens. Yeah, before the par 3, 8.
Speaking of holes, highlight holes. Coming into this, Zach was wondering if there are any highlight holes, and Andrew brought up a very good one. What is it, 13?
13, yeah.
Which is, you start off elevated, and then you're firing off into a par 5 right along the Thornapple River, and it's really gorgeous. It's a hole I've always remembered, even though I wasn't a golfer. Like playing it, I always think about that as like a golf course hole, because it is really cool, and it is one of the best places where you get to see the planes landing, and you can wave to them as they go over, and the pilots, I assume, see me and all the other people, because
just you.
Yeah, they're all waving back. So I don't know, not a ton of highlight holes, I don't think, though. You guys may differ in, well, Zach doesn't because he didn't remember any, but Andrew might differ. But I went ahead and gave it a 7, because that is such a memorable hole for me. Andrew, we'll go to you because you have holes on here.
Yeah, I went 7. I could even argue maybe an 8. I just think this is a beautiful course. So maybe my scenery ranking is going to be higher. So if we're just sticking to holes, I think they're all pretty great holes. There's some holes that you got to carry as far as par 3s go. Pat, you were talking about 13. I think their signature hole along the river. And in the fall, that is one of the prettiest holes, I think, in the state that I can think of that I've played. I would argue that when the foliage across the river, and it's also great to see that highlight hole when you're on 96. So that's kind of cool. And then there's also another cool hole, or Zach, I'll let you talk about this one. We were referencing it before we started on the front 9.
Yeah. And for the non-locals, 96 is a highway. So this is like this weird course where you can...
That's too low.
Yeah. Yeah, you can like see people playing while you're driving the expressway and going, man, I wish I was there right now. I couldn't think of any highlight holes until you guys reminded me, but is it hole 5 on the front? That's a par 5 dog leg around the river. There's like a little bay in the river. I don't know what that would be, but like a little inlet. You're kind of forced to choose between trying to bend it around a tree, go over the tree, or go over the water in order to get back to safety on the fairway. And that's a fun hole to play. And I do always kind of look forward to playing that hole. But I gave him a 6 overall just because nothing stands out to me personally.
Yeah, as you made clear as we were coming into the podcast. So that's great. Scenery, again, planes, trains, automobiles. So lots to look at in terms of moving mechanical objects, lots of animals. You can potentially get attacked by geese on a couple of these holes, which can be scary. Just a lot. It's, to Andrew's point, a lot of fun, cool kind of elevation changes, things to look at. The river. I gave it an 8. It's beautiful. So yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I gave it an 8 as well. It's a very beautiful course, well maintained. The river is awesome to look at sometimes. And there's just something cool about teeing off and having a plane fly over you as you're teeing off. I mean, like it feels like you can touch the plane.
Feels like you could hit it, really.
Yeah, exactly.
Big lob wedge up there.
I don't take a power fade off the tee like Pat does, but I'm sure others could hit a plane if they wanted to. But I gave it an 8. Love this course.
Yeah, Andrew.
8 for me as well. Yeah, just a gorgeous golf course, no matter the time of year. But I mentioned it, I think go in the fall if you can, but anytime in the summer, twilight, like you said, Zach, is a great time. So yeah, just kudos to where this course is located with the river and really how the river kind of bends around it. Anytime I'm on 96, the freeway, the road, as we've discussed, I'm always looking at Thornapple and thinking I would rather be there right now.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Difficulty. I'm going to go pretty high on this one. So per our discussion coming into this, which listeners weren't privy to, is high. If it's high difficulty, is the score low or high?
I think high. Yeah.
Yeah.
High number means harder course.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to go with an 8 because I always have trouble with some of the holes on here. Even 13, and that's weird because I normally drive it the other way. But again, water is magnet to my ball. So then it goes left no matter what I do. So yeah, I gave it an 8. What about you guys? Andrew?
I went with an 8 as well. This course has eaten me up plenty of times, even if I feel like I'm playing well. So I think for any golfer, there's going to be challenging holes, especially depending on which tees you're playing. But it's fun, and it's going to require pretty much every shot and every club that you have in the bag for the most part. Definitely need to think about how you want to attack the course. Zach mentioned on number 5, right? Like, am I just trying to get there in 3 and LA up, or am I going for it? So some high risk, high reward. But yeah, I mean, we'll get into kind of the lost ball score next with the hazards that they have, of which there are plenty. So yeah, it's an 8 for me. It's a tough course, but one that I love.
Yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I also gave it an 8. This is definitely it's playable for beginners and learners, but I think it's more of a golfer's course or someone who wants to try and strategize their way around a golf course. You can't take driver off every tee. There's some tight fairways, and some of your approach shots, you're either going through a tree, around a tree. It's a fun course to play your way around. Very challenging.
Lost ball score. That's where we're at. I mean, giant amount of water, lots of water areas that are just kind of marshy and you can lose into. I went with a 7, lots of woods as well, kind of a lot of places that the ball can kind of find its way into and you won't find it. Zach?
Yeah, I gave it a 7 as well. I've hit onto that railroad track on hole 2 so many times. You have a blind tee shot up a hill, and I hit into that railroad track all the time, and you just can't find your ball if that happens. Even though it's right there, you can see all the pebbles, but you can't see your ball.
Andrew, I remember you didn't lose it, but it went into a yard along hole 1.
First hole. Yeah. Do not go with the power fade unless you're aiming way left, because those are one of the so many no trespassing signs on trees and the fence, and it's kind of a house that you see the back of with like a barn garage that's more, it's bigger than like most, and so you're kind of like, there's something going on at this property that I should obey those signs, and I'm not going to go get my ball even though I see it along with 12 other balls for people that shanked off the first tee. So yeah, first hole definitely can lose it. There is quite a bit of heather too, that you can lose it in if you're really spraying it off the tee. So yeah, tough course with all the added water, like we mentioned, and the woods. Although I do feel like the woods is somewhat open enough that
that's true.
If you have a general idea, you might find it's not super dense in there.
That's fair. Walkability, I mean, it's fun. I think you can easily walk it. I'll give it an 8. There's some elevation changes that might be challenging to some people, but I'll give it an 8. Zach?
Yeah, I give it an 8 as well. There's some distance between holes on some of the holes, but overall, the hills are very manageable and it's a decent course to walk. Speaking of walkability, though, we forgot golf carts.
We sure did. I realized I skipped over that as we were talking about this, so we'll get to that in a second. Unless we just want to tackle it as well as you go, Andrew.
I might have a little bit of a different take with walkability. I've never walked this course, but I think this might be a course that the hills are more than you realize when you're in a golf cart. So I think this walkability score would be lower for me. I'd probably go like a 5, to be honest. This is one of those courses where I'm probably just going to say I'd rather not walk it.
Well, what we have here is a lazy man. I'm kidding, Andrew. I'm kidding. But I'm not going to change my score just for you.
That's fine. I love walking. Don't get me wrong, but I mean, even just some of the distance between like hole 10 and 11, you've got to get off the green, go under the road, through the tunnel, and then it's probably another couple hundred yards just to get to the tee box. From the standpoint too of just pace of play, that can kind of.
You're gonna do it. I'm dropping it to 6.
Oh,
because he's right. There is a big distance between some of the holes, and that I think can really.
So you guys don't take your clubs to the gym and walk on the treadmill like I do to train? Okay.
No, and I don't have a really cool push cart that I keep in my trunk. Like
that's half the battle, man.
Yeah, that will help. I like to Stairmaster with my clubs on my.
But oh yeah, so let's go into carts, which I think is another reason you might not want to walk here, because the carts are great. I gave it an 8, which is actually lower than both of you. But I really like them. They've got great GPS, great amenities on them. Yeah, just a really nice, easy. Because I do, however, do not like their governors on them. I get stuck a couple of places with so. But that's a personal problem for me, and that's why I didn't give it as high of a score for you guys. Andrew.
Yeah, I went 8.5. Thought about a 9. These are memorable golf courts and carts on the course, in the sense that the padding is like these are the carts that I compare to sitting on a couch. And that might be something where it's more Redwater. I know at some of their other courses they've got some newer carts that have this padding, but very supportive. I think my dad would, really appreciate these, because he's always, it's always about how far back he needs to put his back, and me not hitting the gas too soon until his back is against the back of the cart. So, I mean, they're great carts. They've got the GPS. They've got everything you need.
Zachary.
Yeah, I also gave him an 8.5. Very zoomy, extremely comfortable.
Zoomy if you're not stuck somewhere.
Yeah, well, I don't get stuck because I stay in the fairway. But yeah, the electric carts always seem to have a little bit more giddy up and go, which you got to be careful with, Andrew, because if your dad is riding along, you're going to be really ready to gun that thing.
Got to get a seatbelt for him, I think, is what we're doing.
Speaking of Andrew's dad clientele, I gave it a 7. I don't really know how we're ranking this yet, but it's a nice mix. It seems like a little bit better golfers. So I think, you're not getting a mix of people. So you might, if you're not a great golfer, you might get some weird looks or some angry things. So that's why I gave it a 7, I think. But yeah, Zach.
Yeah, I gave him a 6 on this, and I'm trying to approach it from the idea of like, if I was kind of just getting into golf, would I feel comfortable there? And
Yeah.
I think Thornapple would be a little intimidating for me. Now that I've been there a few times, I feel much more comfortable as a decent golfer. But certainly the look of people's bags, the look of people's equipment, and the way people dress, and it can be a little intimidating. And you tend to get a little of the younger crowd, the good forward crowd. So people can get a little rowdy at times, and it's not the most like serene experience.
I could see that, but I think the quality of golfer might have something to do with it. It is a great course, to Andrew's
It is
loving it point of view, and then it is a Redwater course, so you're still probably getting spillover too from some of their private courses. So that plays into it. Andrew, what do you say about clientele?
Yeah, Pat, you took the words right out of my mouth in the sense of that spillover. So yeah, I think Zach brings good points too. I give it a 6 as well. It's still a welcoming place, but I think there is just a little bit of that feel factor where if you don't necessarily look the part or don't know exactly where to go, you might get some eyes on you that just kind of are like, oh, should I be here? But yes, go there and play it. It's great, and you're gonna love it. So if people are pushing you from behind, pick up the pace a little bit, unless it's the people in front of you.
And then finally, traffic. It can be a very busy course because of its location, and it's can be just crowded and busy. And yeah, it's a 6 for me. Zach.
Yeah, I gave them a 5. I really wish I could rank them higher, but just sometimes it gets so backed up there, it's hard to.
Andrew.
Yeah, I went 6. I've never had, too much of a complaint of getting on and it being like overly busy. Again, sometimes it is slow, but kind of try to draw the line between traffic in general and pace of play.
Awesome. And that wraps up our round of rating in Thornapple Pointe, the planes, trains, and automobile course, and seemingly Andrew's favorite course in the world. It comes in at a 109.6, which actually is the highest we've rated of the 3 episodes we've gotten through so far. A little bit higher than Saskatoon, and I think a huge part of that is the history, because it was in 1997. So that's tough. It does have, perhaps, as Andrew says, the best hole in Michigan. or most beautiful hole in Michigan, I guess.
During
in the fall,
during
there's some
autumn.
caveats.
Yeah,
Andrew, I'm sorry.
take it easy on me, okay? Not my favorite course either, but it's up there. And if, I will say, if people from out of town are asking me, hey, what's a good course to go to in the Grand Rapids area? This is one that comes to mind for me first from an accessibility standpoint. If it's a friend of mine that really enjoys golfing like I do, I'm not probably going to give them a place that might be a little bit on the lower tier of courses. And again, if they're coming in from out of town, maybe they're flying in and then it's right around the corner.
Exactly. But yeah, I don't know. I do enjoy this course, and I think it is maybe one of the nicer public courses in easy proximity to Grand Rapids. So we'll give it that. Zach, any last thoughts before I take us home?
No, I wish we could have given them a higher score. They just got dinged down for a couple of the intangible reasons, not the course itself. Certainly one of my top 3 courses in the area.
That's awesome. Well, anyway, as we come onto the 2025 golf season, which is just weeks away for us, even though Zach's already gotten out on the course, and I'm sure Andrew and I will be shortly. We are right in around March Madness. So in the words of the late, great Gus Ganakis, for Gus Ganakis, I'm Tom Izzo. I almost messed it up. Oh, well. Now,
you almost said it right.
Well, I almost got it right. Yeah.
But
so anyway, I hope you enjoyed episode 3 of the Michigan Golf Review. Now let's go into Round Hole Rock and enjoy it. Enjoy some basketball before we get to golf. And now I'll get it right.
Go
Gus Ganakis, I'm Tom Izzo.